The lights of the Ireland Got Talent stage felt colder than any night Matteo had ever known in Cebu City. With borrowed shoes that were half a size too big and a jacket that once belonged to a neighbor who believed in him when no one else did. The crowd murmured softly as they looked at the thin young man with nervous eyes and shaking hands. He took a deep breath and tried to steady himself, but his heart was racing faster than the drums he used to hear during fiestas back home. Matteo grew up in a corner of Cebu City where the streets were narrow and the roofs leaked when it rained. His father was a fisherman who never came back one stormy night, and his mother sold rice cakes near a busy road just to keep food on the table. Music entered his life not as a dream, but as a survival tool. He sang to distract himself from hunger, and he sang to help his mother sell more food. Sometimes people would stop and listen, and sometimes they would just pass by without a glance. But Matteo kept singing because when he sang, he felt less poor and less invisible. Standing now in Ireland, thousands of miles away, he remembered the first time he sang in public, using a broken speaker and a microphone held together with tape. That memory burned in his chest as the host asked him why he came to the show. Matteo spoke softly, explaining that he wanted to honor his parents and show that even someone from nothing could still carry something beautiful inside. His accent was thick and his words were simple but honest. The judges leaned forward, already feeling something different in the air. When the music began, the first note trembled, but it did not break. Matteo closed his eyes and allowed his memories to guide him. He sang about loss, about love, and about nights when hope felt too small to survive. His voice carried the sound of the sea that took his father and the quiet strength of his mother, waking up before dawn every day. Each word felt like a confession, and each note like a prayer. The audience slowly fell silent, as if afraid to disturb the truth unfolding before them. One judge wiped her eyes almost immediately, surprised by how quickly emotion had taken over. Another judge sat frozen, hands clasped together, breathing shallow as if every note was hitting too close to home. The third judge nodded slowly, recognizing a rare kind of honesty that could not be taught. Matteo reached the final part of the song, and his voice cracked, not from fear but from memory. Tears rolled down his face as he finished and let the last note fade into the air. For a moment there was nothing. No applause, no shouting, just silence. Then the entire theater erupted. People stood clapping, screaming, crying, some holding their hearts as if they had just lived someone else's life. Matteo looked up, confused, overwhelmed, and sure if this was real. He bowed slightly, the way he used to do when strangers dropped coins into his cup back home. The judges stood up one by one. One of them walked closer to the stage edge, her eyes red, her voice shaking as she spoke. She said that she had heard many singers, but very few storytellers, and that Matteo was both. She said his voice carried weight and pain that could not be faked. Another judge admitted he had goosebumps from the first line and could not stop thinking about his own childhood. Tears streamed freely, now no longer hidden or restrained. Matteo stood, unsure where to look, his hands trembling again. Then something unexpected happened. One judge turned slowly toward the golden button, his hand hovering above it. The crowd sensed it instantly and grew louder, chanting, crying, begging. The judge paused, took a deep breath, and said that moments like this were why the show existed. He pressed the button. Golden confetti exploded from above, covering the stage like sunlight after a storm. Matteo dropped to his knees, overwhelmed, sobbing openly as he tried to cover his face. The judges rushed to the stage, hugging him, lifting him, helping him stand. Tears mixed with smiles and laughter as the screen announced that he was going straight to the semi-final under the title Cebu de Oro and semi-final después de GRAN memory. Backstage, Matteo could barely breathe. His chest felt tight, as if the world had suddenly expanded too fast. A judge held his shoulders and told him that his journey had only just begun. Another wiped his tears and said that Ireland needed voices like his, voices that reminded people of humanity. Matteo nodded, unable to speak, clutching pieces of golden paper like proof that this was not a dream. As the days passed and the semi-final approached, Matteo trained harder than ever. He practiced in quiet corners, humming softly so as not to disturb anyone, Every time doubt crept in, he remembered his mother standing by the road, smiling proudly even when sales were slow. He remembered singing under broken streetlights and promised himself that he would never forget where he came from. The semi-final end.